Welcome to another episode of Exit Philosophy. He's Mal, I'm Griff. And we'd just like to, before we get into it, thank you all for listening. Thanks for being loyal to us, subscribing to Exit Philosophy. And if you enjoy us on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, don't forget to like, share, and leave a review. We'd much appreciate it as we do every week. Mal, the first item on my list here to talk about is Kevin Gausman's performance, which, as we record, was Thursday night or Thursday afternoon, a day game. And the rarest of creatures for starting pitchers in 2025, a complete game, a two-hitter. This guy's dealing now. How do you see his role, what he's done since the All-Star break? And we'll give those numbers in a second. But how important has he become to this team?
Oh, he's always been their horse. He's always been their ace. He's kind of like that, it's the poor stepchild ace, type thing across the league. Like, I think he just kind of gets dismissed a little bit, but he's just been, you know, uh, kind of excellent for a long time. Now, obviously, he's kind of slipped back gradually as the years have gone on, but man, is he turning it up a notch. And he's your typical horse, isn't he? Like, you just expect him to take the ball and go as deep as he can if you let him. Like, he's not the six inning and done kind of guy. And how do you not love that going into a playoff race in a playoff environment? I mean, that's exactly the guy you want getting the ball. I mean, of course, he can have a bad day. He can give it up. That happens. But it's not happening right now. He seems to be gearing up at the perfect time. And man, it's impressive to watch when he's on his game. He's such a workhorse. He's a bit of a throwback. And how do you not love that?
Yeah,
Fantastic.
to me, there's too many pitchers these days who, after six innings, look over their shoulder to
Oh,
see who's warming up in the bullpen, and
I've
then
done my
look to the
job, right?
manager. Yeah, look to the manager to give high fives after six. And Gosman is one of those guys who won't even look at the manager. You
Yes.
know, he goes to the dugout after six. It's I'm not done, so don't even come and
And
talk to me.
and he's kind of made some comments lately that's inferred, like he's not giving the ball to the bullpen. The bullpen struggled, and
Yeah,
there's
that's a
nothing
great
wrong.
point.
He's done it in a nice manner, kind of. But if you read between the lines, he's like, "I'm not handing the ball over to the bullpen right now. It's not good." So he turns it into, they've overworked him. No, they're just not good enough, and he wants the ball in his hands, and I love that.
And there's so much made, and even with this Blue Jays rotation, there's so much made of needing to be on a regular turn, needing to be on your fifth day, because if you take a guy out of it, all of a sudden, bad things can happen, as we saw, I guess, with Berrios and with Eric Lauer. But you look at Gosman going into the All-Star break this year, he was on fumes. He's an older guy. He's getting there. His three starts leading into the All-Star break were not good. Then he got 8 days rest surrounding the break. And since then, he had a great start coming out after 8 days rest. And then in his last 10 games since then, he's pitched 68 innings. So that's almost 7 innings per start. 39 hits, a great ratio right there. 11 walks and 67 strikeouts with a 2.25 ERA. And like, you can't just generally say that extra rest is bad for a starting pitcher. I think this proves it.
Okay. You can't say I don't think it's bad for sure. Um,
Yeah.
the guys are a creature of habit, though, right? And sometimes they look if something doesn't go well, they look for an excuse. And moving them in and out of that comfort zone gives some guys an excuse for poor performance. And um, as much as I think you select your rest, I actually like your whole theory. I think you select your rest in stages at this point, but I think moving to a six-man rotation is clearly a smart move starting a season off. I think if that's the plan going in, I think you get a lot more buy-in. And I don't know. Sometimes there's the mental part of the game with these pitchers that you have to at least factor in because
Yeah.
giving guys an excuse here and there is not always a good thing.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you that a lot of times just something like that, a little extra rest, provides an excuse if they fail. And we've
Yeah,
seen that. We've seen that.
right.
And like your theory or your suggestion about starting the season with six-man rotation, especially for young starting pitchers who have been sort of nurtured through their minor league career, 3 or 4 innings, a certain number of pitches, and you don't want them to go beyond a certain number of innings by the end of the year. And then all of a sudden September comes up in the major leagues and they go, hey, what month is this? What is
Yeah,
this? What's
it's
going
the
on?
off season. Yeah,
Yeah. And not so much anymore because the AAA season now
yeah,
has been
yeah,
extended. But a lot of these guys came up in an era when that was the truth, that September was a month where they should have been playing golf or at the complex working
yeah.
on nuances and stuff. Yeah, so you know how I feel about excuses for extra rest. I think sometimes that an extra day is, I mean, I've been promoting a six-man rotation all season and it hasn't always been that way. But comment on this theory about a six-man rotation, that even though we haven't seen it in general, I believe that Eric Lauer, there's maybe a little sore because he would be the sixth man. And it has the idea of the Blue Jays in a six-man rotation has allowed them not to have to dip into the minor leagues to call up a guy, to bring a guy in for one start and send him back. Because they have 6 qualified starters, they're able to manipulate and sort of camouflage any problem that they have in the rotation in terms of health and a nicked up arm or whatever. And I think it's a good concept to have on the major league staff rather than an 8th reliever have a 6th starter who can pitch out of the bullpen. I think that's the way of the future.
Well, again, I think the way of the future is just the six-man rotation. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's a hybrid for a while, but I think you're going to see baseball move to a six-man. I think with the rash of injuries. I mean, we could talk about the reasons and max effort and all that stuff. I think just like back in the late 70s, early 80s, when you went from 4 to 5,
Yeah.
for the same reason, we're going to move from 5 to 6. And I think, I like what you're saying right now. It gives you that bridge. You can move things around. I kind of like the idea, but I think just generally speaking, we're going to start to see six-man rotations pop up and become the norm at some point. That's
Yeah,
just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, but
you look at hybrid, and that's a good word for it. You look at Jimmy Key, you look at Pat Henkin, you look at David Wells when they came in. They were basically hybrid. They could
you
pitch.
always had that long guy that was a hybrid
Yeah,
starter, filled in here and there, made 10 starts, and pitched long relief out of the bullpen. And it was such a valuable role. If your guy got knocked out, he came in and held the fort, let you get back into a game. Um, and it's actually also a very fun role for a fan
yeah.
rather than it's just I find that guy to be so interesting, right? You're different Dennis Lamps of the world type thing. I think I'd love to see that in the next little while, that guy, because he's a valuable commodity.
Which brings me to Eric Lauer, who is basically the
Right,
sixth man and was
right.
bumped, and there was controversy there because he was pitching so
Like
well.
the
Um,
Maytag repairman right now, right?
right. But he doesn't even
Old
get up
reference.
to warm up, and I've used that, and
Yeah,
we
sorry
both
guys.
we both do not get any reaction from a younger crowd.
No.
Make that repair. What the
There's
hell?
certain stop with our Gilligan's Island references and make
Right. Yeah. So Eric Lauer, I think that he's not 100%. Otherwise, he would have been in certain situations, even in relief, even in inning relief, starting a cleaning. It hasn't happened. But the fact that they do have an extra pitcher in September masks the problem if one of your guys is not 100%. And just in your opinion, I think that if he doesn't pitch, if Lauer doesn't get a start in the 4-game series against the Rays, then there is something wrong because they got so many key left-handed hitters in the Rays lineup that they need a guy like that. And my theory is if he doesn't pitch in that series, if he doesn't start in that series, then something's wrong.
It is very unusual, right? I think I'd be curious to see what he's doing right now. His routine. Is he throwing on the side at all? You know what I mean? Because this is, I mean, you can't expect him even healthy just to step into the limelight right now after all this time off and just make a quality start. That's asking a lot. So, I mean, something does seem a little off, right? At this point. Um, you know, and he's been good. So why wouldn't you want him getting the ball over some of your other guys out in the bullpen? Why wouldn't you? I mean,
Yeah.
clearly, or is somebody else kind of barking a little bit, and they're saving him, to make
Yeah.
a
Well, I
spot?
think they might be saving him for the Tampa series, for the Rays series, because the Rays give them so much trouble.
But you
And
still could have got him in,
yeah,
kept
well,
him sharp.
to your point, when he was sent to the bullpen, and then John Schneider said it wasn't being sent to the bullpen, but in the Miami series, he was available out of the bullpen. And then his next start was scheduled 5 days after that, 6 days after that. He warmed up several times
Yeah,
in the bullpen in Miami and never came in a game. And people were asking, why didn't he come in? And when the fact was, they were just trying to keep him on some sort of a regular schedule. And it
which
didn't
isn't
work out because
happening.
he didn't pitch well when
Which
he
isn't
did get.
happening right now.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's something to that. So I
I
mean,
mean, he could be throwing in the bullpen earlier in the afternoon. I mean, that's a possibility. But he's not
but
even threatening to come into a game.
but if he's available, why wouldn't you want him in a game?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
absolutely.
over little at these days. Well, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
some of your options that you've used.
Over little with a guy on third base and him spiking. Do you see that pitch the other
What
day? He
was that?
spiked it like
That was a
40 feet.
beauty. That was a beauty.
It bounced
Wow.
over.
Yeah.
It bounced over Kirk's head.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
had no chance of blocking or stopping that ball.
Not sure what that was. That was awesome.
Now, one of my favorite pitching questions, Barrios and Bassitt. Like, I'm a huge Barrios guy, you know that. And here's some numbers that are somewhat eye-opening about those two men. The Jays, when Berrios starts, he's going to make his 32 starts. He just needs three more. All three top guys have 29 starts. I think maybe Gausman's was his 30th on Thursday. But the Jays are 19-10 in Berrios starts. And remember his horrible year? They were 21-11, and he had the worst stats of any starter. And there's something about Berrios out there where the offense says, "Hey, we got Jose out there. We better score some runs."
I don't know if that's good, but yeah.
So I mean, winning has been downplayed for a starting
Of
pitcher,
course.
but never for a team because that's how you make the playoffs. Is it's the most wins. So the fact that
Sure.
this guy's got 9 games above 500 and the team is only 22 games above 500, how can you say that he shouldn't be a member of the playoff starting rotation, like as the fourth guy, make one start in a 7-game series? How can you say that?
Yeah, I think I favor Barrios too. I think he's more likely to give you a quality start. Um, but I mean, let's be honest. I don't think there's a really incredibly wrong decision if you did go Bassett. But I prefer Barrios too. I just think he's a little more consistent, and I think at this time of year, consistency means something.
Yeah,
Um,
I think the numbers show that Barrios' ERA has only been above 4.00 one day, one start in his last 20, which is consistent. It's consistently middle of the pack, middle of the rotation starting pitcher. And that's all you're asking if you're going to, have your top three of Gausman, Bieber, and Scherzer.
And I think if you're asking me, I think the public would probably go the other way and pick Bassett. Do you disagree with that or?
Well, I was ready for that question, and I do believe that you're right, that most people are favoring Bassitt because he's such an emotional guy. He's
Yeah.
so eloquent after games in what happened, and he's supportive of his team, and he's like sarcastic at times towards the media, and fans love that, you know.
Well,
But
he's more, I mean, without going too down that road, he's more like them. So
yeah,
I
yeah.
think they're predisposed to like the guy more
Oh,
like them
absolutely.
as opposed
But
to, the
here's
Latin
some
fella.
numbers. Here, yeah, right.
That's just
Key.
human nature. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? They love that kind of Bassett guy, that emotional, you
Yeah.
know.
So the Blue Jays, in even though fans are rah rah when Bassett goes to the mound, the Jays are 1-7 in his last 8 starts, and his last win as a starter, his last credited win to him was July
One and
23rd.
seven?
Yeah, in
That's
his
hard to
last 8 starts.
believe.
Jays, that's the Jays record. He comes out and he gives a great explanation in front of the screen after the game. But I think in terms of, and we've discussed the other factors, the fact that Berrios is under contract and has an opt out after
Yep.
2026, you
Yep.
take him out of the rotation, he's gone.
Yeah, yeah.
Plus, the other factor that Bassett, I believe, is more um, useful than Berrios in a relief role because he's got the
I
Auer
agree with that.
emotion and he can go out there and he can dazzle you with that slow breaking ball
Yeah, no,
and
I think he's got more to offer in the bullpen a little bit. Um,
right.
yeah, I agree with that. 1 and 7. Wow, that's I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, I'm
I
sure
mean,
that.
this is what it is, but
Yeah, and he didn't take all those losses, but the team did.
no. Yeah,
And
no, no,
so,
no.
like, he might have been of the same situation where you say Gausman won't hand the ball to the bullpen because,
And
and maybe Bassett has had to hand the ball to the bullpen and they've blown games for him.
and look, you go with the best guy, Griff. There's no question. You're trying to win today in year 2025. But there's also one extra piece about managing people. Um, Don't you owe Barrios one
Yes,
after the
absolutely.
garbage you put him through in
Yeah,
Minnesota? And and do you not think he's highly motivated? I'm not saying Bassett isn't, don't get me wrong, but there's that little extra piece. If it's a 50-50 toss up in your mind, don't you owe it to Barrios for that? And he's under contract. I mean, I
yeah.
think it's just
Well, I think that's a big factor is that do you want the guy to just automatically, he's going to opt out because you left him off the playoff roster when you've got him under contract for a reasonable amount these days for 2 more years after that? And Bassett's a free agent.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a no-brainer, and you owe him one from that previous playoff series. You just owe it to him at this point.
Okay, the Alek Manoah ran out of time on his rehab option
Jesus Christ.
to Buffalo, and so he had to be activated. There's no more time. They want him to keep pitching in Buffalo. They activated him. He's still on the Buffalo roster. And then the somewhat surprising move is they DFA'd Orelvis Martinez. And instead of releasing him, DFA, we'll see if they keep him around and leave him open for the Rule 5. But DFA surprised me. Did it surprise you?
Oh, I think it surprised everyone when the name. I mean, it's a name, right? And obviously, he was their top prospect type guy, a couple years ago, and he was the one you were looking for to see if anything could happen. And obviously, uh, surprise, surprise, when he got nailed for PEDs, he's not been the same player at all. But it was a surprise. I mean, you can't tell me there wasn't another option for you. You got Easton Lucas on the 40, you got Dylan Tate on the 40. I mean, guys who aren't going to be around at all, particularly Dylan Tate. So as I've mentioned to you, I wouldn't be surprised if Orelvis even said, it's time for us to take a different approach, and maybe he can find somewhere else to go. Um, Perhaps he was in full agreement on on this move, uh, and in support of let's see what happens here. Maybe somebody will pick me up, and I'll get a fresh look somewhere else because perhaps that's the option they're going to take because I think they've moved past their Elvis. Um,
Yeah.
Clearly
Uh,
Barger and all the guys that have come up. So the path to him Getting to the majors is, sometimes you just get stale, and it just things have gone sideways. So I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, like I said, logically, you Dylan Tate, see ya. Um,
Yeah.
but it was probably just a mutual thing in my opinion, my guess that let's see if he can find somewhere else, and he will find in other spots.
Yeah, Orelvis Martinez, in the years that he was coming to Major League training camp as a non-roster player, I would look at this kid in the dugout
Yep,
saying, Philly, and he's wandering that. He looked and carried himself like a Major League player.
big
And
boy.
that's how I judge a lot of clubhouse, not behavior, but when people aren't looking, how do you look? How do you carry yourself? And
Yeah,
Orelvis carried himself like a major leaguer to me. And so he was leading the AAA in home runs, and then
yep,
he got nailed with I guess it was PD, right?
yep,
Yeah, and then his suspension ended in the last week of the 24 season, and the Jays did not touch him at that point. That
yeah.
should have been a clue that, hey, this guy, this guy in this organization needs to do something special to hang around, and he didn't in 2025.
Well, and let's be honest, I think the Jays were probably embarrassed by this. They brought him up and he got one game in.
Yeah,
Before
yeah, that's right.
clearly they were unaware that this was going to happen. It
Yeah.
was an embarrassing situation for them.
Yeah, because a lot of times you hear that teams were notified in advance of a pending suspension. And in this case, you're right. They brought him up and he played a game, and then all of a sudden, boom,
Got
the
banged.
hammer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that. But yeah, he's going to end up in another organization in Major League camp. And even if he has a decent Major League career, probably they're doing the right thing for the organization because, as you pointed out, there's a lot of guys that there's a herd galloping up behind Orelvis and they're trampling him in
Yeah.
terms of future prospect for this Major League team.
And I've read some stuff about why don't you just get something in a trade, something. Well, obviously they haven't been able to. His value's not much, and at the same time, this may be just the best path for everybody. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he'll go to a better spot, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the first time that a top prospect hasn't panned out, and
No,
it's not always for PEDs or whatever. But
yeah, just
then the guys just go somewhere else, and
you
you
find
don't.
your level, and some
Right.
guys just don't find their levels
And
AAA.
most times, yeah, most times it's not involved in a trade. It's just quietly being released from the roster because there's
That's
only
right.
four. There's only four minor league teams plus the complex league and the Dominican league, and so
Less
there's not
spots.
as many spots. So you gotta move on, and they
Yeah,
did.
you'll be seeing him in the Frontier League soon.
Maybe in the collegiate, he's probably got eligibility left for the Perfect Game Collegiate League. Maybe he could
That's
be a
right.
nice Ironback.
Yeah, that would be fine.
Yeah.
We'll
I
consider
don't think I don't think as manager they asked me to pee in a bottle once.
it. That's right.
Let's see, Santander. After all the reports of Anthony Santander's wonky back and the slow progress, and he's not even hitting off a tee, and he's not doing baseball activities, all of a sudden, uh, he spent the most of this past homestand with the team hitting and doing baseball things. And then he shows up in Buffalo on Thursday night, 1 for 3, 2 walks, and a home run. Is that reason for optimism this year in 2025? Because he's got 4 more years on his contract.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the results are so much a big deal as that he's swinging the bat and swinging it well, and obviously, to perform like that, he must be feeling well, which I think is the most important thing, right? So, um, getting his timing back. I'm not a fan of rehab appearances, but in this case, you clearly need one. He's been off for a very long time. This, I think he'd need to spend some time down there, getting some at bats in because I don't think you want to put him in a Blue Jay lineup, with what's at stake right now, without him being fully ready and having his timing, nails. So I wouldn't get overexcited about a home run, but it's a good sign.
Yeah.
Clearly, he's feeling good, and that's what's important. So I think he's going to need a decent amount of time down there, to just to get that feel again. So over a week.
Yeah,
So
and you know damn well that if he did come up with a week to go in the season and Joey Loperfido was removed, there'd be fans going, "Oh, Joey's been so good. How could you? He deserves
please,
to stay. Come on,
please. Yeah.
it's
No.
major leagues, ligas mayores."
Yeah. No, Joey's he could wait. Santander's your guy. So and hey, could he find hey, what a nice piece to have even off the bench in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Or like down the stretch. That's a dangerous piece if he's healthy. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
if he's healthy and ready to swing it, there's few other guys you're going to add that can do some
yeah.
damage off the
He
bench.
was a 44 home run guy
Yeah, yeah,
in
last
Baltimore.
year.
That's why they signed him.
Yeah,
So
yeah, not 10 years ago. Like,
yeah, the brings me to the back to Kevin Gausman, but and to the Blue Jays rotation, which people all over the game, all over Major League Baseball and the media's point to the Blue Jays rotation as one of the best. Seattle is the best young rotation. The Phillies have a great rotation, but MLB Network, MLB.com did a top 20 starter rankings, and there's not one Blue Jay in the top 20. They go top 10 and then 10 more as also receiving votes. No Blue Jays, despite the fact that everybody regards the rotation as a group quite highly. Number 5 was Trevor Rogers, who's made what, 14, 15 starts.
15
Number
starts.
number 10 was Nolan McLean. Then
Right.
Cade Horton, Brady Singer, and Justin Verlander's on the list. What separates him from Max Scherzer? Or like, come on. It's
That's
clear bias against Canadian teams. Or one Canadian team.
teams. Um, very, very strange list. Obviously, they have a little bit of bias to the young guy too, which is fine. Depends how you're measuring that. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. If I'm in a playoff looking to win a playoff game, I'm shooting Kevin Gausman out there before Cade Horton and Trevor Rogers and a lot of those guys on the list. So especially the one you mentioned earlier, Tim Brady Singer. Like I love him, but
Yeah.
he's never been excellent. He's just been average to good. You know what I mean for his career, and even this year, he's been decent, but um, kind of a
Uh,
strange list, eh?
the one that's strange to me is Justin Verlander at 20. He's the last one mentioned among the also ran. So he's 20. And there's 30 teams. So you're saying that Justin Verlander is better than the ace of the other 10 teams. He was 0 and 8 at one point, wasn't he? And I know wins don't matter, blah, blah, blah. But Justin Verlander for his career would be on my list, top 10, top.
Yeah, but he's not even having a great year. It's
Yeah.
it's it's
And
a, it's a good year for his age. Like he's been
right.
okay, decent, but I mean,
Well,
get out of here with that. That's comical that he's even mentioned. Like
I
you'd
can,
put Scherzer over Verlander
yeah.
without
I,
question. Like
I do consider myself having a good year for my age. So
yeah,
it's all
I don't
relative,
I
right?
don't actually. I'm subpar. There's no question.
All right. To just as a team,
Yeah, you asked about peeing in the bottle, but I mean, I only because the bus trip was too long. I didn't have a
right?
choice.
Yeah, shouldn't have bought that last 2-4 at the
Yeah,
gas
yeah,
station.
yeah. Speaking of the age, yeah.
The Blue Jays or any team that plays a wild card series needs to go, even if every series goes the max, needs to be 13-9 to win the World Series. Even winning 4-3, 4-3,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
3-2, and 2-1. 13-9. The Blue Jays, who have aspirations to win a World Series, have not had a 22 game stretch where they go 13-9 since August 16th, since July something to August 16th. They have not been able to put together a stretch of 13-9, and you need to do that against the best pitchers, against the best teams. What is the argument that they're going to be able to do that?
I guess the argument is how many teams have done that are in the race right now. It feels like there's not exactly anybody. Milwaukee, maybe, obviously Milwaukee. They won a whole bunch of games in a row there. Um, so is that uncommon? I mean, I hear what you're saying. They're not exactly on fire. There are some concerns and warning signs, but I'm not sure they're much different than anybody else. So um, that's why that buy is so massively important, right? You could just skip
Yeah.
over,
Yeah,
skip
because then you
over.
go 11-8, which is only
Yeah,
3 games over. I'm sure they've had an 11-8 stretch since then. Although they've played 500 balls since the end of July. I mean, just back and forth because they got to. They're as we speak, as we record, they're 22 games over 500, and they got to 20, 21, and they've been hanging. This plateau has plateaued for a while, and we talked in previous
yeah.
episodes about how you put on a spurt, then plateau, then put on another spurt. It's not like a steady arc to a division championship. But this plateau has been going on alarmingly long, where they've been between 19 and 23 above 500, and they can't break through. Do you see any optimism for now going to 25, 26? Because if they get to 26 games over 500 and finish the season there, they're going to win the division, and they're gonna have a bye.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't see any like they may do it by default, Griff, and that's a good point. Are you playing your best running into the playoffs, right? You may do it because the Yankees and Red Sox are also kind of feels like they're lately spinning their wheels too. Um, so you may finish the season 20 games over and still get to the place you need to get to, but you're not exactly playing great baseball. They've shown a lot of chinks in the armor a little bit, but they're pulling games out. They're getting big pitching performances when they need them, like yesterday. What would happen? Like, how would you feel if they didn't come back in the ninth inning of that game one, where they clearly deserved to lose? I mean, it'd be a different feel today. Um,
Yeah,
so
yeah, for sure. I mean, there's moments like that all season.
And 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 the lineup to me is showing some cracks, and we'll speak about that when we get to the bowl conversation. Um, I think there is some concern on the horizon, and like you say, even with the rotation, the Lauer stuff, interesting things. But I mean, I think it's across the board too. Mediocrity reigns these days across Major League Baseball. So, so would you like to see them on all firing in all cylinders? Yeah, I don't know if they're capable. I don't know if they got any more cylinders to fire on. So let's face it, this team has really overachieved this year. I'm sorry. Like, let's be happy with where they are and try to win a World Series with this bunch that isn't exactly the 27 Yankees offensively.
Yeah, I feel like the only chance they have to get to 25 or 26 games above 500 from their current 22 is if the Tampa Bay Rays, who have not been playing well against
Right.
everybody else, but always play well against the Blue Jays. The Jays have 7 games left. The Rays playing home games in that shitty ass minor league ballpark are going to have to roll over slightly, and the
Yes.
Jays have to take advantage of it
And they
because
might.
the Rays now can only max out at 88 victories, and that's if they win every game the rest of the way. So that's not going to happen. The Jays, if they take a couple of games early in the series against Tampa,
Right.
will have an opportunity to kick them and roll them over early and then maybe take advantage of that for their 7 games the rest of the way. And that's the only way I can see them go, because Boston is not going to roll over. Kansas City, the Jays have a 3-game series at KC after Tampa. That road trip, 4 games in Tampa, 3 games in Kansas City. There's an opportunity if they take advantage of the Rays to go 5-2 on that road trip.
Yeah,
You know,
because the both teams
yeah,
should be. I mean, and Tampa was kind of hanging around there for a while, but this last little stretch, uh, I think they didn't they get beat by Cleveland? Was that like that kind
yeah,
of finished
yeah.
them off? So it kind of finished them off. So I agree.
Okay. The Bo Bichette injury, I blame, well, we'll get into what I blame, but collision with the catcher's gear at home plate. He finished the game after the rain delay in New York and then came out with, I think his shin is obviously gashed and badly bruised. But the problem became a sprained left knee because of the slide, because of the way he slid in. What's the impact to you of having Ernie Clement playing every day, Bo not hitting cleanup anymore? I mean, we've seen it already where you've had Dalton Varsho batting cleanup. You've had various players who aren't cleanup hitters like Bo is. Bo is 94 RBIs already and was going to shatter 100 even, before next week. But what do you see the impact being, and when do you see him being available?
Well, I think the impact is massive, and I think you started to see it out right away in this series. Those first two games against Houston, I mean, they didn't do a whole lot. In fact, they got no hit for a while the first game, and I mean, he's one of your two. Well, Springer, maybe sure, Springer three, but you're two big boys in the middle of your lineup. You lose one of those, and hey, like Boston's done it. Boston's lost some key guys, but I think for this particular lineup, I think it's kind of devastating to lose the guy who was going to lead the major league in hits. Was just having a Bo year. And I think that does take a toll down the stretch. And for me, that's the number one thing to watch. Um, as for Bo, and this is my opinion with my experience without knowing, obviously, what do I know? I'm not in there. Griff, I think he's done. I don't think he's coming back. So and it's the one thing nobody's talked about because he got hurt, sprained, put him on the IL 10 days. You don't put a star like Bo Bichette on the IL in September in a pennant race just to give him some rest. This is not the time. I think
Yeah.
he's on the IL because he's not coming back. Um, you know, I don't know, maybe the playoffs or something, and like deep into
Yeah.
the playoffs. But
Well,
it's nobody's talking about it kind of thing. You don't put Bo on the IL if you expect him back. Not you ride it out.
yeah.
Like this to me is a long-term injury, and I think they're gonna have to find a way to live without Bo here, and that could be crushing. Um,
The infield now, if Ernie Clement's playing every day at shortstop, which he has been and probably will moving forward, that leaves Barger and kind of Falefa platooning at third base. And late in the game, maybe IKF goes in defensively, and if
yeah,
necessary, Barger moves to right or comes out of the game, whatever. But the bench is going to become so important because we've seen it already. Is that John Schneider goes through everybody on his bench when he needs to pinch hit
yeah.
for some of his left-handed hitters because Bo's not in the lineup. So, they have a five-man bench, and they're all except the backup catcher. And even then, you saw uh, Heineman pinch run for Kirk one time. That bench is going to be very valuable. And if they're trailing in a game, the bats will come off the bench. If they're ahead in a game, the defenders will come off the bench. But you're going to see 13, 14 guys being used every close game that they have.
Yeah, and you've arguably lost your best player. I mean, arguably, you know what I mean. It
Yeah.
one of your two best players, and as we get down the stretch here, I just think that takes a toll. Like defensively, it'll be fine, obviously, um,
Yeah.
but it's a big hole in your offensive lineup, and I just don't see people talking about. I think people just kind of are riding the wave, and I think they expect Bo to come back in, a week or so, and that's good luck. Good luck. You don't go on the IL if you're coming back in 10 days, not in September. So we'll see. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see.
And
But
I
hopefully
want
I'm
to,
wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong. But that's just my experience.
yeah, I want to take the reason for Bo's injury, and I'm going to blame it on
Yeah.
Buster Posey. who in 2011,
That's
Buster
not fair.
Posey.
Poor Buster, killing
Yeah,
them
well,
all.
I mean, he's doing well. His team's Giants are
He's doing
bouncing
fine.
back as a GM. He's doing well.
Maybe he shouldn't
But
have given up on the season.
right, right, good point. Although they did get Devers, so.
Yeah.
Uh, but the in 2011, when Buster Posey was injured, he was a third-year player, a future face of the franchise, a face of the game, and he made a horrible physical move to take a throw from the outfield. Miami base runner ran him over, and he had his left leg across the baseline, and he tried to swing his body in the way, but his left leg didn't move, and he fractured his fibula and tore up the ligaments in his ankle. And because of that, they changed the rule. There's no more collisions at the plate. I love my two sons who are catchers love collisions at the plate. You get the throw, you put your hand in your glove, make sure that you've got a hold of it and covered by the glove, and then you just wait for contact. And there's nothing on a bench that fires a team up more than seeing their catcher run over and hold on to the ball for the out. Anyway, so the Buster Posey rule changed the game at home plate. And there's a whole generation, including Bo, who came up thinking, oh, I'm going to be safe at home plate. You never used to see head first slides at the plate. Never. Now
Oh
you
God.
see them all the time. Like a guy will slide in foul territory head first and slap the plate as he goes by. Or you see those graceful slides on the foul side where a guy just slaps home plate because they feel safe. They feel that the plate's not going to be blocked. So in Bo's case, the throw was there on time. Wells moved over, and Bo had the most ridiculous, I
He
feel
feels like he
safe.
got caught in between or something.
Yeah, my theory, and I talked to Carlos Feblis yesterday about Cody Bellinger having to go to his left. So it seems like if you're the runner at second, that it's going to be an easy score because it's not straight at the outfielder. And you remember that maybe he thought Aaron Judge was in right field because Aaron
You're
Judge
supposed to
lobbing
relay
hand
that.
grenades.
Where's the relay?
But I think that Bo thought he was going to score standing up, and then when he saw the throw and that he just folded his legs in a terrible, terrible slide, and allowed his shin and knee to be exposed to the collision with the hard plastic of the shin guards, and that's because of the Posey rule, where you come up through the minor leagues feeling protected, and we've talked about the
Sounds like you're blaming the victim.
we talk about the play at second base. Wasn't it Chase Utley who got exploded and they changed that rule? And I used to love the little jump when especially a Dominican or a Latin shortstop would take infield and would field the ball, would get the throw and just gracefully leap. It was almost balletic.
Oh, or watching Tony Fernandez throw from different angles, just like it just for sure. However, though, I mean, guys are
the voice of reason.
I mean, guys are much bigger, stronger. I get why you don't want to have guys getting trucked all the time. You know what I mean? But I hear you. I hear you. There was some beauty in the way the game was played, but I understand why you don't want massive collisions. I think, like I said, I think the onus goes on Bo and the slide.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
the rules. You know what's coming.
But the natural throw or the natural slide back in the day would have been feet first, spikes up, make sure the guy doesn't do it again,
just truck him as a
like Ray Fosse and Pete Rose.
Fullback.
And that was an all-star game.
Yeah, I know. Hey, how times have changed.
Yeah.
That ruined a guy's career, which is really they did with Fosse. He was never the same.
I remember Fosse when he was working in marketing at for the Oakland A's after his career. And every marketing meeting, there was a softball game by division, and he was playing, obviously, AL West. And it's slow pitch, and the ball lands on home plate. He struck out on 3 pitches, and I'm going, boy, Pete Rose really did a job on this guy.
He shook you hard. Wow,
yeah.
Wow. Struck out on 3 pitches.
Yeah.
Ouch.
So you were beginning something else before I so rudely interrupted you.
No, I think it just, to me, I mean, I hear what you're saying with the Posey stuff. Obviously, it's changed the whole approach at home plate. I just think I think Bo just got caught in between somehow. Like I'm not like he seemed like he got caught in between what he was going to do, and it cost him
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
It was an awkward slide, and he went in, and so clearly, I think he, then the knee is the issue, um, and that's really unfortunate. I feel bad for him actually because he was having a well, it's a shame if he
And
can't come
he's
back.
going free agent
Yeah, I
too.
think he's fine in that. Like, he'll be
Yeah.
fine, but
Yeah.
he's done his job as far as the free agent goes. But for the team and him and just winning, I think it's.
What
I'd
would
be
be
surprised if we see him. I'd be surprised.
what would be great, and we would talk about it on an off season hot stove exit philosophy would be if Buster Posey signed him to the Giants at a discount because he missed the last month of the season because me blaming Buster Posey for for the injuries.
Genius,
Yeah,
genius.
genius! What a guy! That's
Step ahead of us all, Griff.
long
That's
term
right.
thinking.
That's right.
One of my favorite MLB, and I watch a lot of MLB network stuff, but one of my favorite this week was Pedro Martinez being interviewed about the
Fine.
blatant sign stealing
The
by
Yankees.
the New York Yankees against the Jays, and Pedro was being asked about Judge waving his arms and Bellinger waving his arms and even Jazz Chisholm from an earlier doing the same thing, and clearly they have no apologies about sign stealing because I agree with them 100%. If it's not like technology related, if it's just on field, that's fine. But Pedro took exception to the blatant display of here it is. And I was Pedro's PR guy in Montreal, so I know Pedro a little bit. And he talked about if it happened, and they asked him how would you react, and he said there might have been an ear flap thing going on, and that I laughed, and the guys on the desk laughed. Yeah, an
Well,
ear
it's
flap.
true though.
Yeah, and then they showed 5 straight Pedro drillings of hitters in the ribs and the shoulder
Yeah.
and while Pedro was talking. And it reminded me when I was in Montreal in 93, his first year with the Expos. And Joe Kerrigan was a pitching coach, and umpires were warning the Expos and Felipe about you have a young headhunter on your hands. And they were saying, Kerrigan was going, well, no, he's young and he doesn't control the inside. And
Yeah.
his ball moves a lot, and when he throws
Yeah.
inside, and so Kerrigan, who was ahead of his time in some ways, went to I think it was Reitman's, a department store, a high level
Yeah.
department
Right.
store
That's right.
downtown Montreal, and he bought a mannequin out of the store window, dressed it in an opposing uniform, and put it right next to home plate for a side session that Pedro was warming up with Pierre Arsenault, who was the bullpen catcher at the time. And Kerrigan standing there, okay, you got to pitch inside without hitting him. The first pitch tore the mannequin's head off. It just tore it off, exploded it. and Pedro
That's when the
started,
legend began right there.
and I was watching it, and I'm going, holy shit. And Pedro and Pierre started to laugh outrageously, and Kerrigan turned and walked into the clubhouse.
That's outstanding. Here's your effing mannequin.
I can
He
imagine
tore the head off. Oh my God! If that shouldn't be in a movie. Holy!
I can imagine Joe trying to return it to the store.
Get your money back. Holy shit! That's a great story. Oh my God! Pedro is the greatest. See, the thing with Pedro is he could buzz you because he had great control. Like he wasn't going to hit you in the head. He was going to knock you. And I'm going to be honest with you, Griff. I'm shocked there hasn't been retaliation. And I don't like that there isn't. Hey, I get it. I'm with you. It's fair game. It's in the field of play. You're relaying signals because you think you got something. There
Yeah.
should be a price to pay for that.
Right.
How about stop it, Aaron? How about Jazz? How about you're going to get knocked on
Yeah.
your ass? And everybody knows, just like they've always known. I'd just like to see the Jays take some action. Yeah, it's fair game. I mean, let's not kid yourself. The Jays are doing their own stuff in their own building too, just
Yeah.
But the blatant outward, and the Yankees are doing this on purpose. They're
Oh
they're
yeah.
they're not they're making a mockery of this.
Yeah.
So for a reason though, like.
Well, they want to be the bullies, because they want to have that reputation. They want to put doubt in your head, and it's just the way they operate. That's all. We've talked about their tactics at home games and whatever, and that's just the way they are. It's like Trump and his tariffs.
Yeah, well then the Jays should be doing something about it. Uh Aaron Judge should be ear flat. Like I mean obviously I'm not talking about hitting him there,
Yeah,
but ear
or
flat.
in the
Yeah.
head, like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah. Like
I'm always good with ribs and ass.
yeah, of
Well, I
course.
mean hitting them.
Yes. Yeah. Still not appropriate to say that.
Right. Sorry.
But
Okay.
point taken. So anyway,
Before before we get to the NFL picks, which we're making a lot of money for a lot of people who
just
are
the
paying
buff
attention, um,
keep steaming ahead.
we are suggesting that the Jays have a playoff spot wrapped up. We are suggesting that it's to play 500 and a couple games above. They will clinch top two and get a first round bye. So, in your mind, just among the field that's available right now, who do you think the Jays match up best against, say, in a division series best of five? Who do they match up
In the
best?
American League, I think it's the Tigers. I think the Tigers, even though, they're battling for the number one seed, I think they're the biggest fraud, so to speak. Maybe it's the wrong term, if you know what I mean. I still think
Yeah, yeah,
in that division, they get gifted some victories. And while I like the Tigers, I think you get beyond Scooble, and there's not a whole lot that gets you excited, and even the bullpen doesn't fire me up. So I think that's the team I would most want to face. Everybody else kind of scares you. Even the Astros. Look, I mean, they kind of shut them down, shut the Blue
yeah.
Jays down. They won 2 out of 3, but you don't want to face the Mariners, I don't think.
No,
And Red Sox, Yankees still scare you. I mean,
yeah.
I'm
I
the Tigers
think
guy.
that's a great analysis because in October, that even the productive Tigers hitters are going to feel the
Yeah,
fact that it's October and they haven't been there before.
and the Tigers are facing a Blue Jays rotation, a little
Yeah,
different than
yeah.
what the Royals
Yeah,
and
but they're not
White
gonna
Sox are.
they're not gonna be able to if they finish top two, both those teams as the best division winners. They're
Yeah,
not going to face until the championship series. But that would be
right,
a great championship series. But the Tigers would have to get back past their division series. And
right.
if the Jays are ready to take advantage of the Tigers in a series, then so might other teams. So yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah.
um,
But Seattle's a team I don't want to face
I
ever.
agree. I
Yeah,
agree.
and the Astros
It's
have
probably the Yankees then,
yeah,
outside of that.
yeah.
I mean,
Um, all right, NFL.
yes.
Last week in our first uh, edition of our NFL picks, Mal was 4-1
Whoop,
with
whoop,
his
whoop.
5 picks, and Griff was 2-3. But we had an overlap. We both took Atlanta, and Atlanta was a loser by a half point, I believe. So
Yeah.
that only counts as one loss. So together, if you're following us, you would have been 6-3. So we'll try this again in week 2. And Mal, you give me your 5 picks, and I'll give you the updated spread through this morning. And let's go. Who you got?
All right. All right. Let's keep this show going here. Um, I'm going to start with a team I picked last week, making their home debut with their young fella here. I like the Tennessee Titans, getting 5.5 points. Um, I realize it's a tough matchup, the Rams, but I, I I think Tennessee is a sneaky good football team, and obviously a lot is riding on this on Cam Ward. But I want to get him. I picked him 2 weeks in a row before everybody catches up to I think how good this kid is going to
Right.
be. So
That's a key early season is
yeah,
the
yeah. So I'll take. I
line
think
managers are still figuring things out. So,
I like them at home plus 5.5 here. So give me Tennessee again.
all
Um,
right.
I really like the Seattle Seahawks going into Pittsburgh and getting 3 points, getting that field goal. I think this is going to be a tight game, but I just think they're a better football team. Everybody's kind of excited about Aaron Rodgers. Uh,
Yeah.
let's see it against the better. And the Jets, while people say they have a good defense, I'm not so sure. It hasn't been a good defense for a while. There's some names on it, but production hasn't been very good. In week one, it was bad again. So the next one I like a lot, and surprisingly, I'm on the wrong side of the line movement here. I'm big on Denver. I think they're -1 right now in Indy.
Yep.
I want to see, and I've actually been a bit of a Daniel Jones supporter over the years, and I think
That's a rare sighting.
it is, but he's never had an offensive line, and perhaps we'll see what he's got. But I think this is a true test for Daniel Jones against the Denver defense. Even though
Yeah.
they're at home, give me Denver -1. I think Denver might slap him around a little bit. Whether Denver scores a lot, I don't know, but I'll
Yeah.
take
I
Denver.
think Denver was finding out about its own offense last week, and the defense, there's no question. I don't have that on mine, but I agree with you on that one.
Yeah. I'm coming back to my Atlanta Falcons +3.5. They did Atlanta Falcons things. They were clearly the better team against Tampa. That's why I loved them. And somehow they found a way to blow the game and not put the ball in the end zone enough when they needed to. I like them. I like Atlanta. I like Michael Penix. Hopefully Drake London plays for them, but I'm going to take the 3.5 points on the road. And I think this is going to be a close game. So that's why I like 3.5. But
So
they
you,
could kill
you
me
th
again.
you're thinking the first half JJ McCarthy you're going to see.
Yeah, right. And then I'm not exactly. I think this is another one of those typical Atlanta field
Yeah.
goal games.
So
Yep.
you got one more to pick. Here we
One
got
more on Monday
four.
night. I'm taking Houston, Texas -2.5 versus the Tampa Bay Bucks. Um, Texans have a great defense. I mean, the offense obviously that offensive line kind of stinks, and they've got a lot of weapons, but they were really bad last week, Houston, too. But I think coming home, I'll take them less than a field goal against the Tampa team that I think is just they're okay. They're okay. I kind of
All
like
right.
Houston here. So
So
Tennessee, Seattle, Denver, Atlanta, Houston. Put it in the bank, boys.
got it. Got it. We'll update next week, and I'll put them both our picks, all our picks, our combined totals on griffthepitch.com at the bottom of my next column after Monday night,
Beautiful.
Tuesday,
Well,
Wednesday,
what
whatever.
do you got? More
I
important.
got, despite you dismissing the Jets defense, I've got the Jets getting 6
Against the
against the
Bills.
Bills.
Well,
Because
I
the
get it.
Bills, to me, you can't come off an emotional win against maybe the best team in the AFC
Yeah, agreed.
without
Agreed.
having a letdown. And I think Sauce Gardner and those guys can at least keep the game within a touchdown, within a score. I hate to take points and then say the other team might win because that's not the way you're supposed to do it.
Oh, six
But
points
yeah, 6 points is 6 points. So
at
I
home.
got the Jets at home, and I'm a big Fields guy. I think that, like I said
I
last
don't
week,
hate him either. Yep.
I think he can become like a cult hero among Jets fans who are used to shitty quarterbacks. But at least this shitty quarterback can run. So,
Yes, he can run at least. Yes.
my second game, and it's a team I took last week, and they disappointed me. The Patriots getting 1.5 at Miami.
Yeah, I
Miami
like this
is
too.
not
I
good.
like this too.
Miami is not good, and the Patriots getting 1.5. I think they can win and will win that game. When they had Tom Brady, they used to go down and shellac
When
Miami
they
at
had Tom
home.
Brady. That's a
That's
great
a couple of years
handicapping
ago.
measure.
But there's a Robert Kraft thing, and you're
Sure. Yeah.
probably
Still.
because he's got a massage place down in Florida that he
Yep.
goes to.
Yep.
So it's all
No,
good.
that's good. That's good handicapping.
Yeah. I like
Handy something.
I like the under in the Bears and Lions game.
Oh,
Black and blue division,
what is it?
46.5.
Oh, I kind of like that call by you.
Yeah, the Bears and Lions. And I hit on the under last week in the Broncos game. So, and that was the only over under I had. And this is
Yep.
one this week is the Bears and Lions because they always play. And again, I'm going back to who the hell was the Bears quarterback? Maybe Jim
Caleb
McMahon.
Williams. Oh, Jim McMahon. Oh, boy.
Well, if you were saying I was going back too far.
Yeah. Yeah, he went back even farther.
Yeah. So no, but Bears and Lions they play tough football against each other. It's I know it's controlled environment and the offenses have an advantage, but it is only September, so they don't need controlled environment at this
The
point.
Lions have I want to see, they got to get rolling here. So maybe.
Yeah, their coordinators are still figuring it out. And as such, I think that the Bears and that Caleb will miss enough throws to keep it under. So that's 1, 2, 3. Oh, Falcons, I'm doubling up on you. Second week in a row, we both like the Falcons.
We love our Falcons.
Yeah, so +3.5 Vikings, and I think the Vikings will make the playoffs. The Vikings are good, but the Falcons are underrated, I think. You know, they talk about their defense being a sieve, but I think it's improved, and I think 3.5 is a good call. And then my final game is also Monday, but it's the Raiders at home getting 3.5 against the Chargers. Chargers are famous for playing close games.
Yep.
Games they should romp. And this isn't a game they should romp. I mean, Pete Carroll is not some schmo.
No.
And playing at home, first game that he's playing there. Did they play there last week? They played.
No, they won in New England.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I had that the other way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's my fifth call. That's my fifth game, and we will list our results. And as the season goes on, you'll see how much money you could have made if you were following us. And we're hoping we'll gain impetus as we prove
Don't be coulda, make it a shoulda. Make your wagers, folks.
Anyway, that'll do it for this week's Exit Philosophy, and I appreciate everyone who's subscribed and is going to subscribe and watching on YouTube or listening on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And we will be back next week, tell you about our NFL picks and see where the Blue Jays are standing as they play in Tampa. Thanks, Mal, and thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you.